Why does the US government issue treasuries or borrow money when they own a printing press? Does that make any sense logically? No, it really doesn't. The only reason they need to sell treasuries is because of a self-imposed constraint written into the Fed's charter of 1913, which says that the Treasury can't run an overdraft at the Fed. But does that make any sense today? No, it really doesn't. And here's why. For a little background, when Congress passes a spending bill, the Fed credits the recipient bank's account and they debit the Treasury's account at the Fed, which makes that account go negative. And then what happens is procedurally is the Treasury then issues bonds and those proceeds fill up that account so the account's not negative anymore and they're not in violation of that Fed charter of 1913. But who really cares if the Treasury's account is negative at the Fed? At the end of the day, they're both entities of the US government. As a matter of fact, the Fed has to remit all of their profits back to the Treasury at the end of the year. So they are definitely under the government's umbrella. A lot of people think they're completely independent, but that is not the case. And you know, the analogy that I like to think about is when my wife and I pay our taxes jointly. When my wife was a stay-at-home mom, which is the hardest job in the world, you know, would it make any sense whatsoever for me to say that you're not allowed to spend any money because you don't have any money coming in? No, that's ridiculous because we're both sort of one entity from the government's or the IRS's standpoint. It's the same thing when it comes to the Fed and the Treasury. That's why that whole concept of bond vigilantes is pretty stupid also, because at the end of the day, the government created the bond market and they could do away with the bond market tomorrow if they wanted to. All right, leave me a comment or a question.